Hello, everybody. It's great to be here with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Amanda Poole Walsh, and I am here with predictive astrologer Anne Ortelee for your current astrological weather.
Mm-hmm.
And Anne, I don't know about you, but it feels like a lifetime since last week. I was like,
I know.
I know that was last week, but that feels like months ago that we were on together. So I mean, there's so much happens in every week. It's like time is compacted and it's incredible. So let's talk about the astrological weather. What's on the forecast for this week?
Okay, this week is very exciting in a lot of ways. And the reason it's going so fast, Amanda, is we have a lot of planets in what are called cardinal signs. Cardinal signs take action. They go, 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 go. Now, you think it's fast this week? Wait till next week. It's going to be even faster because this week the sun is in Aries, but next week Mercury goes into Aries on Saturday, and he gets very like, oh my God, more news kind of flying at us. Also, Mercury in Aries is a little combative, so that's going to be on the weekend. But this week, Mercury's in the last degrees of Pisces, so he's really feeling very emotional. And of course, Pisces makes us lose track of time. You know, like when you're listening to a really good music or you're watching a movie and you're really in the rapture, and then you kind of go, wow, where did 3 hours go? That's because of the Pisces energy, that there's like, what day is it again? You know, people are like, I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah.
That's the Pisces. Now, on Saturday, we get very focused when Mercury shifts. But this week, as he goes through Pisces, he does make aspects to the planets that have been causing the problem. And what we do as astrologers, we look above and we say, gee, that's what's going on up there. How does it show down here on Earth? As above, so below, as without, so within. So part of our job when we're doing this is to say, you know, when we look at what the planets are doing, what are they inviting us to understand? So this week, high emotions through Saturday, and then we get very focused, but it even speeds up a little more. So yeah, it's big.
So when you say we get really focused, like what do you
Mercury
mean by
is
that?
the mind, right?
Right.
Mercury's the mind, and he rules the communication, how we communicate, what we say. And when he's in Pisces, it's not a sign he likes because it's the ocean. And remember when you were a kid and you sat in the pool and you did teacup and you would go underwater. Okay, we're going to have a tea party. You go down the bottom and you drink your teacup and then you come up. You can't talk underwater, but you feel. And so when he's in a sign where he feels deeply, but he doesn't necessarily have words. And he's also in a sign where he's invisible, right? Where we don't really see him, but we feel him. So it's kind of like an ocean. When you stand at the ocean and you see all the little people at the edge and then the ocean goes way out, Mercury's in that sign. On Saturday, he goes into the sign of the match. He gets very precise. He gets very direct. He lights, he flares. People are going to be a little more testy, you know, hard to believe, but they're going to be a little more testy next week because Mercury is going to get a little more assertive.
Okay.
So when I do the analogy of Mercury and Aries, I had a friend once who said to me, she had a Mercury and Aries, she said to me, no, you're really smart. I'm surprised you're not more successful. And I kind of looked at her and I went, wow, I think you just said something kind of nasty.
But she didn't mean it nasty, right? It was just
Well, listen, Mercury and Aries.
Yeah.
Mercury and Aries says stuff like that, right?
Right.
It's like,
Yes.
meow, you kind of go, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a scalpel. Mercury in the sign of the scalpel. So we know that it's got an assertiveness to it. Right now it's in kind of Pisces, which is a little less focused.
Okay.
So, you know, but it's also a little all over the place. You know, the communications are kind of there's no clear focused message, right?
All right. And tonight we have a full moon, right?
We have a big full moon, and the issue with the full moon is it makes everything bigger, like the police officer staff, there's more babies born. Even the bus drivers in New York know when the full moon is because people get a little more emotional. So it's a swell. It's a swell of energy. And then as we go into the end of the week, the moon gets into Scorpio, which is the sign of death and transformation. So we can anticipate kind of a swell of that when we get towards the end of the week, or at a swell of intensity. So full moons also make people really be a little more, I need you to go in your own room now, right? And so we have a Mars square Uranus aspect, which is also kind of unexpected fights. So I have a cat with that. So when Mars is aspecting Uranus, we always have more cat fights. And so kind of watch where you kind of go, right? And the moon is in Libra saying, I want to be nice to you, but the sun is in Aries saying, I'm a little annoyed. I'm a little annoyed right now. So we want to kind of just know we're running a little more annoyed, a little more cabin fever, a little more need to get out and go exercise or walk, a little more need for that kind of connected where we're feeling how do we do it. And then we also have Venus is out of bounds. She's the goddess of love and beauty. She's in the sign of Gemini, which is a great place for her. She really likes it. Right now, she's in the sign of answering to Mercury and Pisces, so she's a little more emotional. But at the end of the week, she's going to be answering to Mercury and Aries, so she'll get a little more assertive. But Gemini, when a planet's out of bounds, it tends to be a little bigger. So it also is the news, the communication, the stuff that kind of runs. So right now it's a little more paranoid. It gets more directed and asserted towards the end of the week. So the beginning of the reason Jamie's Amanda's co-host, you can't see her, but she's there. She said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's kind of hard, and then Saturday is good. And I'm like, yeah, that's the net, because we're in this swell of emotion and we get clear on the weekend, because Mercury is so much about the clarity of the mind and the directness of the communication.
Okay, so if you had to name like a theme for this week, what would you say?
Emotional overabundance.
Okay.
Emotional overabundance, good or bad.
Right.
Right. So the stuff that you watch that makes you cry, go watch that, because it'll help you get a good cry. And the stuff where you're kind of like emotionally overabundant on, just like, that sense of I'm just overwhelmed. I'm really feeling overwhelmed. I'm like a wave is coming in on me. Once we have that wave hit, which is done on Saturday, we come up and we go, oh, wow, I have a plan now. Mercury and Aries is a plan. We have a plan. We'll feel like the world gets more planned and more focused.
Wow.
Yeah.
What you're saying about annoyance and frustration, I just have to tell a quick story.
Yeah, totally. That's why we're here.
I'm like homeschool central now. And one thing a homeschool needs is a printer. So I finally went and got a printer. Bring it back from Target, plan we're going to get it set up this morning, and then we'll have, all of our little homeschool pieces in place. The dang thing doesn't work. And it won't work. And so I call HP, no answer. I call Target, no exchanges or returns right now because of the coronavirus. So I'm like, so I'm stuck with a printer that doesn't work. And so my daughter, Sophia, comes out of her room with there's this like little heart pillow that's like all fluffy. She goes, Mama, here's the stress pillow for you to hit. Why don't you just hit this? I was like, perfect. So I'm banging on this heart pillow because I know it's a heart, but it's for banging.
For pain and stress, right?
Yes, and I can't tell you how many times in front of my 8-year-old, it's probably not the best thing. I get this damn printer. I can't stand this damn printer, and then we can't return it. So yes, frustration. And there's a part of it that was great because we were able to just be light about it. I just like went into it. I was like, I am frustrated. I'm annoyed. This is so annoying. And, so but I mean, I think when those big emotions come, sometimes you just got to like go to the bottom of it, if you're like sad or you're frustrated or you're angry, whatever, it's like, go to like the depth of it. And then it's kind of like fizzles itself out, as the emotion moves.
Because you ground it. Yeah. There's a great book called Swamplands of the Soul by a Jungian therapist. And he talks about when you're in the swampland, which we all are in right now, we're in a bit of our own swampland of our own journey because we're all being cocooned and transforming. So, but he encourages you to go into it and kind of lean into it, like if you're that, really be that. And Moon in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces rather, wants to amplify everything. It amplifies. It's kind of like sound amplifying. Because on the higher form of Pisces, it's the frequencies we're working with, right? So we hear, there's all these frequencies in music or in tones or in quality, and also music. It's so helpful with Pisces to do music. And, lower form Pisces is alcohol. You need a cocktail. I've had a lot of people talking, I'm really feeling like I need to pick up again. And I'm like, no, ground. This is very emotionally overwhelming for folks. So, and you can't go to a meeting, you're feeling stressed, but just ground into, yeah, I really want that. What is it? What helps? And so stress pillow, love that she came out. Mama, hit the heart,
Yeah.
And also there's an exercise you can do that's very grounding. If you put your hands on your heart and you say, I'm here, I'm breathing, and you calm your heart down. You literally take your hands, lay it on your heart chakra, and just calm the heart, and just breathe into it. And really just feel like, okay, let me go in, let me hold my breath, let me exhale, let me really feel that this, how do I ground into my soul? Because there's so much distraction and there is so much frustration. Mars Uranus is a very frustrating aspect. Where people just get like, I can't take it a minute more. I mean, I was on the phone last night doing a reading and my cats are having a fight in the living room, and I'm like, and I I got an old 20-year-old who beats up the 10-year-old, and the 10-year-old is like this macho cat, except when the old cat beats him up, he's kind of like, eh. And I'm like, Max, and I'm like to Remo, you can take him, you can take him, So watching the little kids cry and fight, this is a big emotional time for the kids in the house. It's a big emotional time for everybody. And so just know that we're in a big swell of emotion until we get to the weekend, and then we get like, okay, in Aries, I have a plan.
So
and it's a full moon. The lunatics, they used to say everybody goes a little crazy on the full. It's a full moon, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's big.
Okay, couple things. Any of you who have kids who need to cry it out, highly recommend the movie Benji. My kids were watching that last night. They're like, Mama, I never cry at movies. And I mean, they were like sobbing. So highly recommend. And it's not like the dog doesn't die or anything.
The dog doesn't die.
It's not just, over the top. But then I know we have a lot of really emotionally intelligent and, a lot of people in our audience who are very good with tools, very good with tools for how to like ride these huge waves of emotion. So I just wanted to, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the recording, just type in some of the things that you do to help you ride those waves of emotions. Because I think we can really help each other. And if we have a little toolkit available to us, then it's, when these things become overwhelming, it's like, okay, even if you come back to this video and go, what did everybody say? What do people do to help with this kind of intensity and this overwhelm?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
and
basically,
toning, like, making loud noises. I've been drumming more, because it's not a sound. It's not a word. There's no words. It's feeling. So it's working the feelings out of you, So to your point, hitting the hill, I've been doing my drumming because that helps. The piano hasn't been working for me because it's like I feel like I have to be focused and I just want to pound thing, So it's understand like structurally free stuff. I've been putting on Santana. Oi, como va, and like dancing in my living room. It's like honor the need for movement with feeling, right?
Movement with feeling and no structure,
movement with feeling and no structure, right? Because Mercury is a no structure sign.
Okay, so basically we have a huge full moon tonight.
Full moon,
and with full moon energy, do you say that the energy is active the day before, the day of, and the day after, or is it like setting a tone? Like the new moon sets a tone for the whole moon cycle.
Right.
The full moon is setting the tone for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's a culmination, so it culminates stuff. But we also go back and we look at when the new moon was in Libra. So you think back to October 6th, 7th of 2018 and what was going on then. And then we go forward and we go, okay, what was going on last summer in June of 19, around October, or June 9th, 10th. And now we have the full moon, and then we'll have the closing square in December. So we have these phases where we have the full moon. So when we build up to the full, and then we release and wane. So you kind of think of the energy as it's dissipating, but it's also disseminating out. So, I'm not real pleased with disseminating out on a full moon while Mercury's still in an invisible sign. But it gets to Aries because it's sending, we're disseminating out all this emotional stuff. And this particular full moon has, when we cast it for, Washington, it's got, Mars is very active in the Washington chart, and it's a Scorpio rising chart. So it's very much about dealing with Mars energy with that square to Uranus. So it's a very emotionally volatile full moon. Plus, the sun's in Aries, so people are really feeling like, that kind of roar of energy. But the Libra goes nice, nice, but the moon in Libra is answering to out of bounds Venus in Gemini, so people are really going to be a little emotionally bouncing back and forth. When a planet's out of bounds, it makes the energy be like either a home run or a line drive into the stands with blood and guts. So obviously you want to do the home run version but if you go to the line drive into the stand with blood and guts, you come back and you go, okay, I'm a little overreacting right now. It's a full moon. And full moons, the nursing homes, my friend who works at New York Hospital, they staff up on the full moon because there's going to be a lot of babies born. It's an emotional, and it wants to release, it wants to send out. But then we taper. So this is kind of a culminating energy. But the problem with this is that the culminating energy right behind it is that Scorpio moon, which is very hard. Scorpio moon for folks, a lot of people have, when they have that Scorpio moon, they get really into a depression. They get into a little more like overwhelm, like this is never going to end. And of course, more death. And then we get to Mercury and we go, okay, we got through it. We got through that. And we have to kind of, to the point of this is kind of thinking, they've been saying sprint, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So this is going to be one of those times when you're like, okay, I just got to get to that water table at the 17-mile mark. I'm going to be okay. It's like giving yourself permission to know that this is a very flow crash energy.
Yeah. Well, yes. And I like that hang in there. I'm not a marathon runner, but for any of you who are, what is the mile at which you're just like, oh my God, I don't know if I can keep going? Because it seems like this week is similar to that mile. So we could name it mile, whatever, is it 17 or 18? I don't know what it is. And
I'm in my place, the marathon runs by my house, right? So I'm at the 17-mile mark and they all come running up to, it's a water station. They all come running up to that table and they grab the water and they dump it on their head and they throw it in their face. And then there's cups all over the street and they're like soaked and then they look so happy because they got the water. Right. So, so dose yourself with water this week too, because that always helps calm the flow. Right.
Yes. Okay. So one of the big themes for this year, right, is this idea of mastery with Saturn, with all the Saturn, energy. So what I was thinking of, I think it was yesterday, is how a lot of times when we're in a crisis, we might be one of the only ones, or like there might be a few people in the crisis with us. But in this situation, we're all in this together. And so it's one of those where it's not like, if you have a partner at home and children at home and coworkers and whatever, a lot of times not everybody's in it all at the same time. And there can be a blessing in that because some people are feeling really strong while others are feeling, in the whitewater, as I like to say, right? Yeah. But the reason why I brought up the word mastery is because we don't have that right now. We each are having to like pull on our own resources, and not that we can't rely on each other because we can, but everybody's in it. So this is such a time to cultivate compassion, compassion for yourself and compassion for all the people around you. Everybody's feeling these huge waves of emotion and you're not alone in that. And there's a comfort in that, but then there's also but we're all in it. So I just think, in terms of something, it's probably all my Capricorn and everything, but when I think about it from the perspective of, okay, this is an opportunity to step up even more beyond those places where I thought I had limitations. I perceived a limitation of how much I could handle, or I perceived a limitation of what was possible. And now I'm getting invited to expand into new territory. And I love this. Adam Gainsbourg said on one of the videos we did last week, can you look towards unknown happiness? Like there's the known, challenge of where we're at, but then there's this unknown happiness. And can you open up to that and understand that we're in a process that we're letting go of the things that don't allow that kind of potential future?
Right. Right. Yeah. And also Saturn is fear. Capricorn's fear based, right? So I attended a meditation this weekend where she said, learn to love the things you're angry at and to love the things that you're happy with. Because Saturn, the opposite of fear is love. It's not, it's like, okay. And so Saturn says, learn to love this, learn to love this. What can you love about this? Because then you're working the Saturn in the positive way rather than the fear-based way.
Exactly. And I'm seeing lots of opportunity for us to remain in love, even when people have different perspectives about what's happening, why it's happening, what the outcome might be. There's a lot of variety in perspectives around that. And can we love each other through those differences? Because if we can't, if we allow this to separate families and separate friends and separate us from the people we love, then no matter what, it's quote unquote winning. You know what I'm saying? So it's such a challenge though. It's a real challenge because it's hitting home. It's hitting really close to home. And so in this moment, it's even more of a challenge, but also more of a reward to stay in love. So if someone has a different perspective of you, it's like, I respect your opinion and I love you no matter what. I know we all want the same outcome. We all want the same outcome. So it doesn't really matter what we believe is the storyline in between. And that's a big challenge for each of us to really step into and embrace, I think. And it's one of the biggest opportunities here.
Well, and it's perhaps one of the harder parts. So also, if you don't feel like you can do that, that's okay, because part of people are really feeling like, I feel like I should be doing this perfect. I mean, I have people calling and like, I feel like I should be perfect in this. And I'm like, what's the perfection thing, man? But the planets are in the Virgo decan. Like I should somehow be better than what I am. And the universe is saying, no, you're supposed to sit home in your anxiety on a lower form, in your competency on a higher form, but to understand there's really nothing you can do, quote unquote. I mean, obviously we're not healthcare workers. They're doing a lot, but it's also watching how you absorb stuff, because with all this water, it is a little infectious. So I watch my governor every day, and they asked him, they said, oh, we hear they're going to be burying people in the parks. And he went, what? But you want to kind of watch when this stuff comes in. Apparently there's an internet rumor they're going to be burying them in the parks. And I'm like, okay. But, you kind of go, really? Like, but I mean, they actually asked it. And I'm kind of like, okay, watch for the paranoia. Watch where someone's running a little paranoid. And you have to kind of, Pisces is hysterical. It's also mentally challenged. A lot of times it's when we feel really completely overwhelmed. And with the full moon, we may feel like, oh my God, I'm so completely overwhelmed, which means stop watching the newspaper, stop watching the internet, go read a book, go do something where you're not hooked into the energy of the world and catching it, because it's very contagious right now. Not just the virus, but the paranoia, the fear, the anxiety. Catch something happy. Right? Catch something that makes you cry, right? And in a good way, like Benji. I cried yesterday at John Krasinski had a really lovely, some good news. He's doing a podcast, and there was a little girl who was very disappointed because she couldn't go see Hamilton. Got canceled. So her mother, they watched Mary Poppins Returns. And of course, John is married to Emily Blunt, who is in Mary Poppins. And then it kind of led to this whole thing with this little girl who didn't get to see Hamilton. So I'm sitting there sobbing at my computer, and I know I'm going to go watch that again and cry again today, because that was a happy cry, right? And you really want to, assert, kind of, how like when you have a big pimple and you want to go pick it, got to kind of think of it as like a big cosmic pimple right now. When you just sit there and you kind of get the goo out, and then it's a little bloody and a little red, and then it gets nasty looking. So that's Thursday. Friday is the nasty looking, but today you're like, I gotta get that pimple, and just honor, Capricorn rules skin. I have people that are erupting in hives. I'm like, well, yeah, it's like, we're releasing, we're detoxing. It's a giant detox.
Giant detox. That's so good. Detox is never comfortable. It's like really uncomfortable and not pretty. So yeah. So LaDonna says that hit the wall is at mile 20. There are two marathons. I find it very interesting. It's at 20. And we're in 2020.
We're at 20 days in.
We're at 20 days in.
For most people, yeah.
Whoa, that is quite fascinating.
Yeah,
So there are 2 marathons, the first 20 miles and the last 6.2 miles. Okay. So we're at mile 20, you guys. Do you really think we're at mile 20, or are we at like coming up on mile 20?
We're coming up on mile 20, but I mean, remember, we're running a few marathons here. We're finishing the marathon in New York, and then we're going to go run the marathon in Louisiana.
God, we're nuts.
And then we're going to go
what are we thinking?
Well, I mean, we're just running marathons all around the country, but just know, it's like, okay, I can do this, right?
Right.
And if you need to walk a couple miles or walk a little bit, maybe your time's not going to be so great. That's okay. How do you support yourself this week?
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. And anything else that we want to add for this week? I mean, basically I'm getting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, super intense, very emotional. Saturday is a changing of the energy where we're going to, a big shift. We're going to start to feel more focused, a little more clear, a little less, watery. But that's basically the summary of the week. Yeah.
Yep. And then next week, what happens is what we had earlier in the year was we had Venus. When I said to people, watch what happens this week, because Venus is going to be triggering the story. That was when Italy and Spain kind of really blew up, right? So next week, when the sun gets into Aries, it's going to come and square all those Capricorn planets. So we're really going to see the extent of it, and we're going to see a surge, but we're going to be much better prepared for it. Because part of it is, it's coming, and we don't know, it's not here. Is it here yet? Is it, that anticipatory build? So next week, we're like, okay, we're in it. And you get that second wind at the 20-mile mark, and you go, okay. So this week right now, I'd say we're at 17, and we're going to run through 20, and then we're going to go, and then we're going to go, okay, let's roll. Yeah. So next week's pretty intense, but the anxiety, how like when you're getting ready to jump in a pool, you're getting ready to do something, and you have that anticipatory anxiety, and you're gonna talk for an hour, and you gotta pee. I gotta pee. This is that week. And then next week you've peed, you're ready, you're in, you're on it, you're going.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So everybody, get your movies ready that help you cry. Get your music ready that helps you dance it out and just kind of go nuts. Get your drums out. Get your heart pillow.
Your heart pillow. You can pound. Right.
Madeline, could you grab the heart pillow? I just want to.
Everybody gets to see what Amanda does when she gets stressed.
Exactly what I was doing yesterday. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty. Yeah, I like it.
This pillow got pounded. So get your tools ready, and then also if anybody has any other suggestions for people, ways that they do it. I mean, I really see the benefit of us being in community. One of the big things is that we can hold each other through it. We can share stories. We can laugh at ourselves. It's all part of it. It's all part of being human. So we're in this together. And if you have any suggestions, just share them. Also, a couple books. You said Swamplands of the Soul. This might be a really good one to tune into this week.
Very good. Yep. I have on my website, I have an excerpt of it, like what to do with the different emotions. Because he goes through fear and anxiety and depression and, kind of how to lean into those. Because he gives you suggestions on how to work when you're in the swamplands. And a lot of it is, you got to go through it. You're going through it. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Susie says, I have my moon in Capricorn and literally just broke out in a rash yesterday.
There you go. Okay. May it go away, Susie, but you're detoxing. Remember, the skin is a giant, we don't think of it as an eliminative organ, but it is. It's like our lungs and our bladder. So it's really good with this aspect to give yourself a little salt and oil, make a little thing and just scrub your skin, with salt and oil and kind of do a shedding of your skin, so to speak, in an easy way,
So good. That's
salt
amazing.
And oil or salt and honey.
That's amazing symbology too. You could just be doing it and just thinking of that release and that detox that is happening now. So,
it's a big detox. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We're getting our second win this weekend, and then you'll feel like, okay, I got it. I have a plan. Awesome. So it also makes people feel less, like everything's flying around. It feels much more focused. You'll have I learned this, I learned that, I learned this as of Saturday. And I can't tell you how much better you're going to feel. You might feel you're a little more mad, but you know what? That's okay too. You know,
Okay.
it's okay to be mad. It's part of the 5 stages. Remember, bargaining, acceptance, denial, anger, and then we get to depression. So watch yourself cycle, you know, go, ooh, that's interesting. Wow, I'm really depressed right now. Okay, well, now I got to get my anger up, right? Or my action up. Also action. Because the other thing is, my assistant, I was talking to her, and her partner was home, and she nursed him back to health, and they went out for a walk yesterday, and they both returned winded. So we're home, we're not exercising, right? So she's like, I couldn't even climb my hill. I was huffing and puffing because we're home, we're not necessarily exercising. So this is also, when we get to the weekend, maybe come up with an exercise program for yourself, you know, something in place that you can do.
Yeah. I love what you just said too about, I mean, when we resist the emotions, we actually amplify them inadvertently. So when you actually, like we were talking about in the beginning, if you intentionally amplify them, then it subsides faster. You know, just you cycle through it faster. So instead of like fighting against it, just exactly, go for it.
Yeah. And if you really want to get really grossed out, Dr. Kim Pimple Popper, you know, like that's the week. Go watch.
This is a thing?
Oh, she's got all this website where she picks pimples, and she just sits there and they ooze out, and you go,
oh my God. Oh my God.
It's really good.
Nasty.
Really good. It's not good for the Virgos, but I happen to love it, but that's another part of my chart. But yeah, it's really cool. So like that kind of stuff where you go, ew, that's so gross. And then you're like, wow, I don't have a pimple that big, you know?
Right.
So that's the other part.
Oddly satisfying.
Oddly satisfying. Oddly satisfying.
All right, everybody. Well, we will be back next week with the astrological weather with Anne. If you want to tune in on different platforms, we're doing these broadcasts live on Facebook. Then we repurpose them for Instagram TV. We post them on YouTube. We take the audio and put it on the podcast. So there's lots of different ways to access this information. If you want to follow us across those different platforms, then you will get to tune into the astrological weather and then all the special edition episodes that I'm doing all week. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And thank you again for your just that consistent touch point. Okay, here's what we're doing this week, you guys. Let's we know what's coming, get our tools ready, allow ourselves to be in it, but be aware the whole time, which is a whole different experience of things.
Yeah.
You have that,
and remember, when they hit the wind, when they hit the wall, when they push through the wall, then they're through to the other side. So there's a little birthing thing there too. You know, you just kind of push through. And sometimes you go, okay, let me just walk for a little bit. And sometimes you just stop and you lean against a wall and you breathe, and then you're good to go. Sometimes it's just okay to stand.
Yeah. All right.
So, we love you all. Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Aloha, everybody. We'll see you soon.